Okay, let's jump right into the deep end. Today, we're tearing through the chronicles of well, a massive conflict. We're setting the scene for a world where humanity is really just hanging by a thread. You've got this ancient evil rising, a desperate quest for a legendary weapon, the Sword of Shannara, and this shocking possibility that the weapon everyone's after might be powerful because of a complete lie.
That really is the perfect setup. And our sources, they give us this incredible view into the very first moves of the Third War of the Races.
Right.
And this whole massive conflict, it swirls entirely around one unlikely young hero, Shea Ohmsford. He's the adopted son of an innkeeper, starting out in this super quiet, sheltered place, Shady Vale.
So our mission today, then, is to trace back this huge historical burden. We need to nail down the context. What exactly did the Great Wars destroy?
Yeah, the background is crucial.
And then let's do a forensic analysis of the magic. Specifically, the elf stones and the sword. And maybe the most important thing, we need to understand that central twist. Why the ultimate battle wasn't really against a monster outside, but against the self-doubt inside the hero.
And this whole massive story kicks off with just a knock at the door in Shady Vale. The trigger is this sudden, imposing figure of Allanon. He's a mystic, a historian.
Intriguing figure.
Oh, definitely. He arrives unannounced. And the minute he gets there, he sets the stage, telling Shea straight up, I came looking for you.
Okay, but to get why Allanon was looking for this one specific guy, we have to talk history, right?
Exactly.
This world is defined by trauma. The Great Wars didn't just end a civilization. They wiped out over 90% of all life.
90%? It's staggering.
And completely reshaped the continents. But the deepest change wasn't even physical, was it?
No, it was philosophical. The Great Wars basically killed off the old materialistic sciences. You had this huge, chaotic collapse of society.
Total breakdown.
Yeah, the structures people relied on just vanished.
Yeah.
And into that power vacuum stepped something else. The science of the mystic. Sorcery, essentially. Knowledge became power, but like a totally different kind of power.
So after all that chaos, stability was desperately needed. You have the survivors, man, elf, dwarf, troll, gnome. They're forced to coexist.
Right.
Which leads to the druid council forming at Paranor, led by Gallifile.
Yeah.
They were meant to be the guardians, yeah. Keepers of knowledge and peace.
That was the intention. But the biggest threat they face actually comes from within their own history. The main antagonist is the Warlock Lord, Brona.
And here's the unsettling part. Brona was one of those original druids, but he went down a dark path, mastered dark power. The sources are really clear. He's not mortal anymore. He's a spirit creature.
Wow.
And he's been the shadowy hand behind the previous two race wars.
A former druid. So the ultimate evil isn't some ancient demon. It's corruption from within the intellectual order itself.
Exactly. That feels really important. It suggests, intellectual pride, the hunger for power, even through knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the real root of the conflict here.
Precisely. And his followers, the Skullbearers, they really hammer this home. They were human druids once, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but now they're completely spirit-dominated, basically puppets for Brona. And this threat isn't theoretical. Brona's in the Skull Kingdom, actively prepping for the Third War.
And the warning sign.
Yeah.
It's purely atmospheric, this gigantic towering wall of darkness. Just appears over the Northland like a visual symbol of the spiritual night that's about to fall.
Chilling.
So the clock is ticking. Allanon confirms everything hinges on Shea Ohmsford, the half-elf adopted son,
Yeah.
because he's the heir of Sword of Shannara.
Right.
And this lineage, Allanon claims, is what lets him wield the one weapon that can break Brona's hold.
Which brings us neatly to the talismans. And what's fascinating here is how the magic works.
Yeah.
It's all about conviction, like pure belief. Shea inherits two main things. First, the elf stones, these little, finely cut, dark blue pebbles. Allanon confirms they're incredibly powerful, but, and this is crucial, they only work when the user believes in them.
Huh. Belief is the power source. We see that tested straight away, don't we?
We do. The sources detail how the stones flash this vision of the Black Oaks, saving Shea and his group in the Mist Marsh. It's an early lesson. Magic reflects your inner state.
Which leads to the big one. The Sword of Shannara, forged by the mystic Bremen, who we find out was Allanon's father.
Right, adding another layer. But the sword's strength, it doesn't come from the metal itself or spells woven into it. It draws power from the minds of the mortals for whom it acted as a shield.
So, the collective will of the people, their desire to be free.
Exactly, that's the fuel.
Okay, wait. If the power comes from the people's desire for freedom, Why did Bremen fail to destroy Brona the first time? Allanon says only a Shannara heir can wield it. That sounds contradictory.
Ugh, that's the political knot Allanon is trying to untangle. He thinks Bremen's mistake was giving the sword only to a king, Shannara. He assumed the power was all in the wielder. Instead of understanding that you needed that belief across the whole land. The lineage matters, but maybe mostly because it's supposed to bring that necessary level of innate belief, that willpower.
I'm kind of struggling with Allanon here, though. He's the wise mystic, but he hides the sword's true nature from Shea. He admits he didn't have faith in Shea. That sounds like a terrible mentor. Manipulative, even. Why the secrecy?
Well, the sources suggest he was trapped by his own family baggage, trying to fix his father's failure. Allanon seemed to believe he had to make sure Shea was strong enough, had that deep conviction before revealing the final truth.
Whiskey strategy.
Extremely. But the Warlock Lord forcing the issue, advancing so fast, it pushed Allanon's hand. He had to gamble on Shea's potential, not his current state. And once that truth starts coming out, staying in Shady Vale is impossible.
Yeah, the escape is sudden, intense. Prisballinar of Calaworn shows up just in the nick of time, warns them they're being hunted.
And then makes a brilliant tactical move.
Right, he acts as decoy. He heads back towards Cullhaven to draw the Skullbearers away from Shea and his brother Flick.
And that journey, it's brutal right from the start. They have to get through the dangerous black oaks, survive this encounter with a tentacled swamp monster in the Mist Marsh.
Where Menion Leah, the Prince of Leah, actually proves he's not just talk, saves them.
True. This tough journey finally gets them to the dwarf kingdom of Cullhaven in the Anar Forest, and that's where the initial fellowship really comes together. Balinor, the dwarf Hendel, and the elven brothers Durin and Dayel.
But then things get complicated again. Shea gets captured briefly, and his rescue introduces two of the most interesting characters. Panemon Creel, this thief, dressed all in scarlet.
Bit of a rogue.
Totally. And Keltset, a massive rock troll. But Keltset is amazing. He wears the black irex, which is like a symbol of unbreakable honor for trolls.
And Keltset's backstory. It's pure political manipulation. It fits perfectly with Brona's whole strategy, which is based on lies and deception.
How so?
Keltset reveals his entire family, the Malicos, they were the ruling family of Norbane, were wiped out by skullbears.
Just slaughtered.
Yes, and it was a calculated act, a deception designed specifically to make the trolls think the elves did it, to drive them into joining the Northland invasion. The Warlock Lord is fighting a war using weaponized history, weaponized lies.
That's genuinely terrifying. The war isn't about land or resources. It's about poisoning trust, using political lies to turn races against each other.
Exactly. And meanwhile, back in Calaworn, the home front is just collapsing. Balinor gets back to find his own brother, Palance, has grabbed the throne.
Influenced by another mystic, Stenman. Seems like mystics can be trouble too.
Indeed. And Palance immediately disbands the Border Legion, the kingdom's main defense, and throws Balinor and the elven brothers in prison.
So betrayal is everywhere.
Absolutely. It runs deep. And this leads to a real sacrifice. Hendel, the dwarf, key part of the group, he dies defending the others in the palace cellar, a heavy loss that really underscores the stakes.
But amidst all this darkness, these setbacks, we see this internal change happening, right? Flick, Shea's older brother.
Yeah, Flick starts out as the ultimate pessimist, always nervous, sharing Shea's nightmares even, constantly complaining.
Right, but he finally steps up. He disguises himself as a gnome.
A brave move.
And infiltrates the Northland army camp to find the missing elven king, Eventine.
And it's this beautiful, quiet moment of heroism. The non-magical brother, the one always doubting, pulls off the most critical intelligence mission of the whole quest so far.
He frees King Eventine.
He does, proving that, inner courage, just the will to act despite your fear, that's just as potent as the magical belief needed for the Elfstones.
Still, despite these smaller wins, the main goal fails. The group can't retrieve the sword from Paranor.
A major setback.
But that failure forces Shea to rely on what he does have. Later, when he's captured again, he finally gets full control over the Elfstones.
And this is where we get a really clear picture of how Brona's dark magic actually works and how it's beaten. When Shea uses the stones properly,
he destroys the Skullbearer.
Right. He watches the dark, controlling spirit literally drain out of the mortal body, which just collapses into dust. It confirms the Warlock Lord's power is all about possessing and corrupting the living. It's parasitic.
That mechanism, control of the mind, The spirit sets up the final showdown perfectly, doesn't it, at Skull Mountain?
It does. Shea faces the Warlock Lord directly, and Brona doesn't throw fireballs or anything like that.
Now what then?
Pure psychological warfare. He tries to crush Shea mentally. He attacks his self-pity, amps up his fear, goes right after his courage, uses Shea's own mind against him.
And right there, in that moment, when Brona is using doubt and self-loathing as his ultimate weapon, that's when Shea finally understands the truth about the Sword of Shannara.
The big reveal.
Okay, so the weapon everyone risked everything for, the legendary artifact. It's basically just a fancy mirror. It forces the wielder to face their own hidden truth.
Pretty much.
It shows Shea everything, all his flaws, his petty jealousies from the past, his tendency to feel sorry for himself.
Yeah.
Even the awful selfishness of letting Flick share his nightmares just so he wouldn't feel so alone.
That is the staggering twist. The legendary power was a lie. At least in the way everyone thought. It wasn't about cleaving mountains.
It's just a well-made sword.
Physically, yes. Just a finely crafted weapon. But because it acts like the ultimate truth serum, forcing you to confront and accept your own internal darkness, your own failings.
It makes you morally incorruptible.
Exactly. By acknowledging your own potential for evil, you become immune to Brona's mind control, which preys on hidden fears and self-deception.
So the only weapon that can beat the master of psychological darkness is the one that removes all psychological leverage by demanding radical self-honesty. That actually makes perfect sense, given Brona's power.
It ties it all together. Belief for the Elfstones, self-truth for the sword, and having done his part, getting Shea to that realization, Allanon is spent.
He used up too much power.
Seems so. Finding Shea across all those dangerous lands took a huge toll. He finally leaves, just whispering, "Goodbye, my young friend. Goodbye, Shea." The magic has a cost, even for him.
Wow. So the immediate result is bittersweet and costly. Hendel's dead, Allanon's gone, Palance's betrayal has wrecked Callahorn's defenses.
Huge losses.
But the mission, on that spiritual level, it succeeded. The end of the Chronicle confirms the elven army does arrive. They link up with what's left of the Border Legion to face that advancing wall of darkness. The physical war is truly beginning, but the ultimate weapon is finally understood.
And the ultimate takeaway seems clear. The Druid's original mistake was thinking they could impose peace from the outside, without really getting the volatile nature of the self. The magic systems show this. The Elfstones needed basic belief. But the ultimate weapon, the sword, needed radical self-truth. You could only beat the external enemy by first conquering the internal one.
That shift from external power to internal integrity, that's the core message, isn't it? So here's something for you to think about. If the ultimate magical weapon in an epic quest is really just a tool that forces the hero, forces you to confront your deepest, ugliest personal flaws, what does that really say about true heroism? Especially in a world like ours, overwhelmed by information, illusion, maybe even manipulation. Perhaps the only way to resist is to first be brutally honest with yourself, something to mull over until our next deep dive.